Siku ya leo pamoja nasi makala ya 62 tuwasema hongera kwa kazi unayozidi kufanya. Mheshimiwa Rais pamoja na mama taifa wanaondoka sasa. Yamekuwa ni makala ya 62, sherehe ya Jamhuri, kauli mbiu utalii, wanyamapori na biashara. Akisindikishwa na mkuu wa majeshi ya ulinzi Jenerali Kahariri Charles, anamsindikishwa Mheshimiwa Rais kuweza kuondoka. Shukran sana.
120 Alpha zikiwa ni ndege za mafunzo kwa rubani, mafunzo ya kimsingi za chuo cha mafunzo kwa rubani wa kijeshi Aviation Center of Excellence, kambi ya Laikipia Air Base. Inafuata sasa ni ndege za uchukuzi. Kikundi cha kwanza ni ndege aina ya Skytrack ambayo ina uwezo wa kusafiri wanajeshi ndani na nje ya nchi, na pia kwa uwezo wake wa kufungua lango la nyuma huweza kutumika kuwarusha wanamiavuli ambao leo hii wametuandalia gwaride wakati wa operesheni na pia katika hali ya mafunzo. Ndege hizi zimeweza kutumika kuweza kuwabeba wanajeshi katika shughuli mbalimbali ambazo zimeweza kutokea. Itafuata sasa, Mheshimiwa Rais, ni ndege aina ya Dash 8 ikiwa ni ndege ya uchukuzi, ndege ambayo ina uwezo wa kusafirisha section 3 na zaidi almaarufu infantry platoon zenye takriban askari 40 na zaidi, ambazo huweza kubeba askari hao pamoja na zana zao za kivita, hivyo kuwafikisha katika maeneo ambayo wanahitajika kwa urahisi, zikiwa ni ndege za uchukuzi aina ya Dash 8, ndege ambazo hutumika kuwabeba wanajeshi wetu. Basi itafuata, Mheshimiwa Rais, ni ndege aina ya C-27J Spartan kama tunavyoshuhudia kutoka mkono wa kushoto, zikiweza kupaa taratibu, ndege ambazo zina uwezo wa kubeba kundi kubwa la askari pamoja na zana nzito zaidi za kijeshi wote kwa pamoja. Na ndege hii pia imeweza kutumika kuwapa mafunzo wanamiavuli ambao leo hii pia wameweza kutuandalia gwaride, ndege hii ikiwarusha wanamiavuli takriban fiti 12,000 juu ya bahari wakati wa operesheni na pia wakati wa mafunzo, zikiwa ni ndege C-27J Spartan. Basi Mheshimiwa Rais, itafuata sasa ni ndege za kivita kama tunavyoshuhudia pia kutoka upande huo huo, ndege hizi zikiwa 6 zikiweza kuunda mfumo 6 ship diamond formation, leo hii zikiwa chini ya formation lead Major Alois Kemboi. Ndege hizi zikiweza, Mheshimiwa Rais, kuachana ili kila moja kuweza kutuletea maonyesho ya manuva hapa mbele ya jukwaa, jinsi marubani hawa huweza kukabiliana na adui angani, ardhini na pia kwenye fuo za bahari. Naomba wananchi tuweze kuwapa makofi marubani wetu wa ndege za kivita. Rubani wetu wa kwanza akiweza kutuletea onyesho 4-point roll, onyesho ambalo rubani Mheshimiwa Rais atapaa na ndege kwa kasi, kisha ataweza kulaza ndege takriban degree 90, akilaza ndege kwa ubavu, kuigeuza tena kulaza ndege kwa mgongo ukipenda Charlie, na pia kugeuza ndege hii mara ya 3 na ya 4, akirejesha ndege wima pasipo kubadili mkondo. Kisha rubani wa pili atatuletea onyesho aileron roll, onyesho ambalo rubani atainua pua la ndege takriban degree 20 na kutupa mizunguko ya kushoto. Mheshimiwa Rais, rubani wetu akiwa tayari kutuletea onyesho 4-point roll mara ya kwanza, ya pili, ya 3, kurejesha ndege wima. Tumpe makofi. Aileron roll, rubani huyu akipaa kwa kasi kama tunavyoshuhudia, akija kwa umaridadi, akiweza kuinua pua la ndege hivi sasa na kuigeuza kwa umaridadi kwa haraka pasipo kubadili mkondo wa ndege. Onyesho linalofuata vertical roll, rubani kuinua ndege takriban degree 45 kama tunavyoshuhudia hivi sasa, akipaa juu kabisa na kutupa pia misunguko ya kushoto pasipo kubadili mkondo. Tuwape makofi marubani wetu tafadhali. Linalofuata, Mheshimiwa Rais, ni roll of top, rubani kupaa kwa kasi kama tunavyoshuhudia hivi sasa, kuinua pua la ndege, kupaa juu kabisa, anapofika upeo wa kupaa kulaza ndege chali na kurudi mahali ambapo ametoka. Tumpe makofi rubani huyo tafadhali. Vertical roll, kupaa kwa kasi kama tunavyoshuhudia, huku akitupa pia mizunguko ya kushoto kwa haraka. Aileron roll, onyesho linalofuata Mheshimiwa Rais, rubani kupaa kwa kasi kama tunavyoshuhudia kutoka upande wa kushoto, akija kwa umaridadi pia kuweza kuinua pua la ndege takriban digrii 20 na kutupa pia mizunguko ya kushoto. Tumpe makofi rubani huyo tafadhali kwa onyesho tamu aileron roll. Basi Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa kutufungia maonyesho ya ndege za kivita, anayefuata ni rubani atakayekuwa anatuletea onyesho high speed pass, onyesho ambalo wengi wa wananchi huweza kusikia tu sauti lakini ndege hawaioni. Naomba tuweze kuyakaza macho yetu upande wa kulia ili tukaweze kumpata. Amefika kwa umaridadi kabisa, sauti akiacha sauti nyuma. Sound of freedom, tuwape makofi marubani wetu wa ndege za kivita. Mheshimiwa Rais, yatafuata sasa ni maonyesho ya ndege aina ya helikopta. Ndege hizi zikiwa ni za uchukuzi pamoja na operesheni mbalimbali. Helikopta ya kwanza ambayo itakuwa inatufungulia maonyesho leo hii ni aina ya Yuhi, ambayo helikopta hii hurusha vikosi vya dharura, ukipenda rapid response units, ambao huweza kufika katika maeneo hatari ili kuweza kutekeleza mashambulizi. Kama tunavyoona kutoka upande wa kushoto, rubani huyu akiwa ndege hii ikiwa chini ya crew captain Meja Mugendi akisaidiwa na Captain Mwangi, wakiwa wanabeba ujumbe spesheli kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Happy Jamhuri Day! Tumpe makofi marubani huyo kwa kuweza kuleta ujumbe huo spesheli kwa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya. Basi Mheshimiwa Rais, zitakazofuata sasa ni ndege aina ya Fennec ikiwa imetangulia, yenye rangi ya kijivu, na ndege aina ya Bell 206 nyeupe kwa rangi. Fennec ikiwa ni ndege ya kupiga doria na pia kuweza kufanya mashambulizi, nayo Bell 206 ikiwa ni ndege ya mafunzo kwa rubani wa ndege aina ya helikopta. Tuwape makofi marubani wetu wa ndege hizi ambazo zinapita kwa sasa. Itafuata sasa Mheshimiwa Rais ni helikopta spesheli ambazo zina uwezo wa kuelea hewani kwa muda mrefu zaidi ili kuwaruhusu wanajeshi kushuka kwa mikamba spesheli. Helikopta ambayo inatangulia Mheshimiwa Rais ni MI-171E ikiwa inafuatwa na 139 Westland Augusta, ndege ambazo hutumika kuingia katika eneo la maoperesheni kwa kuruhusu wanajeshi kushuka kwa mikamba, zoezi rappelling. Basi zitakazofuata Mheshimiwa Rais ni ndege aina ya Huey ikiwa na Cobra, Huey ikiwa imetangulia na Cobra ikiwa imefuata, zikiwa ni helikopta za kuongeza nguvu kwa wanajeshi wanaopigana ardhini na pia kwenye fuo za bahari, huweza kushambulia ngome fiche za adui, hivyo basi kusababisha na pia kufuatilia hatua zozote za adui. Tunafungiwa Mheshimiwa Rais maonyesho ya ndege leo hii na ndege aina ya Huey ikiwa imebeba bango na MD-530 kutoka jeshi letu la nchi kavu, zikiwa ni helikopta za mashambulizi leo hii kutoka jeshi letu la nchi kavu, zikiwa ni Kenya Army Corps of Aviation. Basi Mheshimiwa Rais,
na huo ndio utakuwa mwisho wa tamasha zetu za kijeshi kwa pamoja. Ningependa kuwashukuru Brigedia Mohamed Ahmed Saman, Kanali Frederick Serem, Brigedia Collins Mitoko, Meja Charles Obong, Meja Matthew Lorot Ingolan Silverstar. Niweze kushukuru Defense Forces Sergeant Major Warrant Officer 1 Bwana Haji Omar, Kenya Army Sergeant Major Warrant Officer 1 Joel Murage, Kenya Air Force Sergeant Major Warrant Officer 1 Franco Leparsalachi, na bila kumsahau Naval Sergeant Major Warrant Officer 1 Musa Abdi.
Basi maonyesho ya ndege tuliweza kuletewa na Overall Formation Lead Luteni Kanali George Kimaita Rintari akisaidiwa na Deputy Formation Lead Major Clifford Mtiria.
Your Excellency, today we celebrate the first cohort of the officers that served in the multinational security support mission in Haiti. These gallant officers arrived home on Tuesday, 9th December 2025 after serving in Haiti for 17 months and 9 days. In the period of their service, they were part of the 740 Kenya, 150 from Guatemala, 78 from El Salvador, 25 from Jamaica, 3 from Bahamas, and 2 from Belize. This mission was performed splendidly, forming a basis for successor missions. The gang suppression force is headed by a Kenyan Assistant Inspector of Police, Geoffrey Otunge. The mission has made significant progress, including reclaiming key infrastructure, including the international airport, the seaport, and the National Palace, among others. These positive developments reaffirm Kenya's belief for the beginning of international solidarity in critical restoration of dignity of Haiti and its people. In the course of the mission, 3 of our officers paid the ultimate price. To them, we owe a debt of gratitude and confirm this deep loss will never be in vain. We remember them and are humbled by their sacrifice. We honor them and pray that their souls will rest in eternal peace. Na sasa nimpishe mwenzangu Sergeant Misango Mbai atueleze zaidi kuhusiana na kikosi hiki. Sergeant Misango.
Asante sana ndugu Mike Gitonga. Mheshimiwa Rais, unavyoshuhudia hivi sasa wakija kwa umaridadi ni polisi wa taifa la Kenya wakiongozwa na General Service Unit, kisha wakifuatwa kwa ukaribu na wenzao wa Border Police Unit. Mheshimiwa Rais, unavyoshuhudia wamebeba bendera ya polisi, kisha bendera ya Kenya Police Service na hali kadhalika Administration Police Service. Mheshimiwa Rais, nitaomba tuweze kuwapa mashujaa hawa makofi mazuri baada ya kutoka nchini Haiti, baada ya kutekeleza wajibu wao kwa takriban miezi 18. Wananchi wazalendo, tuwape mashujaa hawa makofi mazuri. Mheshimiwa Rais, ulipowapa amri, wengi walidhani ndivyo sivyo, kwamba hatungeweza kusaidia taifa la Haiti kuweza kurejesha hali ya usalama kuwa thabiti. Lakini hii leo Mheshimiwa Rais, ulivyosikia mwenzangu alivyosema kwa lugha ya Kimombo, miundo misingi ikiwemo seaport na hali kadhalika uwanja wa ndege umeanza kufanya kazi, kwa sababu wanajeshi askari hawa wa Kenya, ama ukipenda jeshi la polisi la Kenya, liliweza kushika doria nchini Haiti na kuhakikisha kwamba tunarudi na ushindi. Tuwashangilie kwa makofi mazuri wanapopeana heshima yao mbele ya jukwaa la Mheshimiwa Rais aliye amri jeshi mkuu, aliyewaamuru kwenda kutekeleza wajibu huo. Mheshimiwa Rais, mkuu wa kikundi cha kwanza cha General Service Unit, Chief Inspector John Lekuye akisaidiwa na Inspector Charles Arogo anayebeba bendera ya National Police Service, Senior Sergeant Dominic Maina, wakiwa katika magwanda yao mepesi ya kivita. Platoon ya pili, Mheshimiwa Rais, chini yake Inspector Joseph Kirago. Platoon ya tatu, General Service Unit, chini yake Chief Inspector Wesley Bet. Mheshimiwa Rais, Border Police Unit, chini yake Chief Inspector David Mburu akisaidiana na Inspector Samuel Mnene. platoon ya pili ya Border Police Unit chini yake Chief Inspector Dick Onzarigo. Kutufungia Mheshimiwa Rais, platoon ya tatu chini yake Chief Inspector Hussein Shaban. Tuwashangilie kwa makofi mazuri wanapoondoka. Na Mheshimiwa Rais, nichukue fursa hii kuweza kukushukuru wewe kama Amiri Jeshi Mkuu, na hali kadhalika kumshukuru Inspector General wa Polisi Bwana Douglas Kirocho Kanja, nishukuru naibu wake Bwana David Lagat, Eliud Lagat, na hali kadhalika Bwana Gilbert Masengeli kwa kuweza kuhakikisha kwamba polisi wetu wanatekeleza wajibu wao pasipo na bughudha. Ningependa kushukuru hivi sasa bendi ya mseto, bendi ya Administration Police na hali kadhalika General Service Unit wakiondoka hapa uwanjani siku ya leo. Niweze kushukuru Bwana Abraham Kemboi, Head of State Commendation, kwa kuweza kuletea gwaride hili la wenzetu kutoka Haiti. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa ruhusa yako hivi sasa niruhusu niweze kumleta Bwana Mike Gitonga pamoja na Boni Musambi na Michael Gitone waweze kuendelea na ratiba ya siku. Jina langu ni Sergeant Misango Mbae, tukiwatakia Krismasi njema na mwaka mpya wenye fanaka.
Kwa heshima naomba tutulie ili tuweze kwenda kwa sehemu ya maombi na kutuombea siku ya leo kwa maombi ya kimila. Mr. Isaac Oloibakuti Nkuromo.
Mheshimiwa Rais, mkuu wa gwaride hili ni Luteni Kanali Martin Mutabari Mudhaura, OGW, divisheni ya kwanza ya kikosi cha 20 cha wanamiavuli jeshi letu la nchi kavu, chini yake Major David William Bass, wakiwa katika mavazi yao rasmi ya sherehe. Afisa aliyetwikwa jukumu la kubeba bendera iliyo fahari ya kikosi cha 20 cha wanamiavuli, Luteni Kevin Kiso Ruto. Parade RSM, afisa mteule daraja la kwanza John Simoto Moibe. Divisheni ya pili wakiwa chini yake Captain Ibrahim Kihuro, wakiwa katika mavazi ya rasmi ya sherehe. Divisheni ya tatu, Mheshimiwa Rais, ipo chini yake Meja Kevin Ambani Jahonga, Subaltern Officer Luteni Ngugi Gitau, wakiwa katika mavazi ya rasmi ya sherehe. Divisheni ya nne wakiwa katika mavazi yao ya sherehe siku ya leo, wakiwa chini yake Captain Eric Evans Otieno. Mheshimiwa Rais, nafuata hivi sasa ni divisheni ya tano ya jeshi letu la wanaanga, wakiwa chini yake Meja Felix Nyoro Karanja, Subaltern Officer Luteni Mwaura Kimani, wakiwa katika mavazi ya rasmi ya sherehe. Divisheni ya sita chini yake Captain Francis Opondo, wakiwa katika mavazi ya rasmi ya sherehe. Mheshimiwa Rais, divisheni ya saba jeshi letu la wanamaji, wakiwa chini yake Meja Angatia Mulunda, Subaltern Officer Luteni Jasper Barongo, katika mavazi ya rasmi ya sherehe. Divisheni ya nane chini yake Captain Edwin Wahungu, wakiwa katika mavazi ya rasmi ya sherehe. Mfawidhi wa gwaride hili, ukipenda parade adjutant, Captain Nene Mwangi, wakiweza kupita mbele ya jukwaa rasmi wakiwa katika mwendo wa kinyonga.
Ni wakati wa kuweza kuweka gwaride sawa. Wakati wake parade arresting Warrant Officer 1 John Smotwo Moiben. Baada ya gwaride kuweza kupita mbele ya jukwaa la Mheshimiwa Rais kwa mwendo wa kinyonga na mwendo wa kasi. Kwa heshima naomba sote tusimame kwa ajili ya review order. Wimbo wetu wa taifa utakaochezwa beti 3 mtawalia na heko kwa Mheshimiwa Rais. Mkuu wa gwaride hili sasa akija kumwomba kwa heshima Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya na Amiri Jeshi Mkuu wa majeshi yote ya ulinzi idhini ya kuondoa gwaride hili uwanjani baada ya kuwa na onyesho la bendera ya kikosi cha 20 cha wana miavuli wetu sherehe za Jamhuri mwaka 2025.
Excellent. May I have your permission?
Asanteni, niombe kwa heshima tuketi tafadhali.
Tunaweza kuketi chini. Wananchi wa Nairobi hoye! Kanairo hoye! Wakenya hoye! Jamhuri hoye! Basi, kabla sijatoa taarifa yangu kwa taifa letu la Kenya, nyinyi mnajua kati yetu tuko na marafiki wengi ambao wametutembelea, na leo tuko na mgeni. And I want, in a very special way, on behalf of the government and people of Kenya, to thank our brother and friend, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Mahama Dramani, for finding time to come and be with us to celebrate this 62nd Jamhuri Day in Kenya. Your Excellency, we don't take for granted that you have been a close friend of Kenya. And our two nations, Ghana and Kenya, have a long, proud history of friendship, starting with the founding father of your country and the founding father of our country. Allow me now to ask His Excellency President John Mahama Dramani kutusalimia. Your Excellency, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, my brother, the President of the Republic of Kenya, William Ruto. Let me acknowledge your beautiful wife, the First Lady of Kenya. I bring you greetings from the people of Ghana, and to say that on this day, your 62nd Jamhuri Day, the people of Ghana are in solidarity with their brothers and sisters in Kenya. On this day, we pay respect to the memory of our forebears who fought for our freedom, and we do not take their sacrifice for granted. The friendship between our independence leaders, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta and Kwame Nkrumah, has become an enduring flame that has continued to bind our two countries together. Our forebears won us political independence. It is the responsibility of our current generation of African leadership to win economic independence and prosperity for our people. Africa faces many challenges, including a global order that is rigged against it. Face systems that make us suppliers of unprocessed raw materials and importers of finished products. The time has come for us to add value to Africa's exports. The time has come for us to claim a fairer share of our natural resource endowment. The time has come for us to provide transparent and accountable leadership. The time has come for us to unleash the creativity and energies of our young people. We must increase trade amongst ourselves, and so we commend the protocol on the African Continental Free Trade Area. We must show Pan-African solidarity with all members of the African diaspora, and that's why I wish to express the sincerest appreciation of the people of Ghana to the people of Kenya for your timely intervention in Haiti to bring relief to the long-suffering people of Haiti. Ghana also, in the spirit of Pan-African solidarity, is sending troops from our 48th Engineers Regiment to help Jamaica in its rebuilding efforts after the devastating Hurricane Melissa. Kenya continues to be a respected member of the African Union and other international bodies. And so Ghana wishes Kenya well on this very auspicious occasion. And finally, before I resume my seat, accept my personal condolence and the sympathy of all Ghanaians on the passing of a great statesman, Mzee Raila Odinga. May God grant him peaceful rest. Long live Kenya, long live Africa, long live Kenya-Ghana relations. Asante sana.
Your Excellencies, distinguished friends, fellow citizens, I have always observed this day with two emotions held in tension: deep gratitude to our forefathers and a restless question for ourselves. Have we been faithful stewards of the freedom they won, and have we truly advanced the nation they left in our hands? I shall return to these questions later. But first, today we gather not just to mark a date on the calendar, but to honor a legacy written in sacrifice, courage, and unbreakable resolve. A legacy forged by men and women who stared imperial power in the face and declared with unshakable conviction that Kenya would be free. Their struggle planted our republic on the firm foundation of liberty, unity, and democracy. They gave us more than a flag. They gave us a future. 62 years ago, the brave architects of our nation placed in our hands the priceless gift of political independence. On this very day, 62 years ago, our forefathers lowered the Union Jack and raised the flag of our nation. But that victory was not given easily. It was bought at an immense cost. The road to our nationhood was carved by the unbreakable spirit of our freedom fighters, men and women who refused to bow to the humiliation of colonial rule. From villages to towns, from farms to factories, to classrooms and marketplaces, Kenyans from all walks of life rose as one, declaring that our humanity would not be diminished, delayed, or denied. And when brute force was unleashed against them, their determination outlasted it. Thousands paid the ultimate price. Many more were detained. Whole communities were uprooted. Punishment, pain, exile, and prison became the tools of repression. But what no empire could crush was their determination, resolve, and the unity of purpose. Across ethnicities, across regions, across class and creed, they became a force history itself could neither silence nor stop. Their sacrifice opened the path to self-rule. Their courage delivered the independence we celebrate today. And it is upon their shoulders that our republic stands strong. The architects of our nation overcame the trials of their time, while our challenges are different, their lesson is eternal. They rose to the dictates of their moment. It was not easy, but it was necessary. And because they did it, we are here today. So, today, fellow citizens, history turns its gaze upon us and asks, faced with the challenges of our time, have we stepped up as they did? When he took the oath of office, Mzee Jomo Kenyatta warned us that independence would mean nothing if it did not improve the daily lives of ordinary citizens. Tom Mboya reminded the nation that the greatest struggle, and indeed the hardest struggle, was not political independence alone, but development itself, the economic empowerment of our people, and the unlocking of their full potential. They stood and they understood that freedom was only the beginning, that the deeper battle would be against poverty that chains potential, against disease that steals opportunity, and against ignorance that dims human possibility. And so today, we are gathered to mark Jamhuri Day. We do more than remember history. We honor the architects of our nation for giving us the first great watershed period in our nation building, political independence. Just as the first generation rejected colonial domination and set out to confront the new enemies of poverty, disease, and ignorance in all their forms, they discovered that independence did not amount to freedom in its full and fullest sense. Along independent Kenya's history, power became centralized, dissent was silenced, competition was crushed, fear replaced hope. Once again, however, Kenyans rose, and from their struggle emerged the agitation for democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. In the darkest days when it was dangerous to speak, brave Kenyans spoke. When it was illegal to organize, courageous Kenyans organized. Students, clergy, lawyers, journalists, workers, and politicians stood firm against detention, against torture, against exile, and even death, so that Kenya could break and breathe again. This generation of courage produced towering figures whose sacrifice expanded the democratic space we enjoy today. Foremost among them was the late Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga, a stalwart of our country's democratic journey, who left us just under 2 months ago. Raila devoted his life to the pursuit of freedom, justice, and peaceful coexistence. His courage, resilience, and unwavering belief in the power of the people shaped defining chapters of our national story and inspired generations to believe that change is possible. I now respectfully urge all of us to join me in observing a 1 minute of silence in honor and remembrance of the Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga and honor his sacrifice, service, and enduring legacy. Tafadhali nawaomba tusimame kwa dakika moja kwa heshima ya kiongozi wetu Raila Amolo Odinga. Asanteni sana. Asanteni sana. May his spirit continue to guide our nation forward. His resolve, as well as the resolve of our forefathers, gave us the 2010 Constitution, a charter that restored the sovereignty of the people, restrained imperial power, entrenched rights, and devolved government and authority to the grassroots. But it promised something even greater. It guaranteed economic and social justice. It declared that health, housing, food, water, education, and social security were not favors. They were fundamental rights. It was a bold promise. It was a moral imperative. It was the unfinished dream of both the independence and subsequent generations. Yet today, with honesty and humility, we must admit that this promise remains incomplete. Yes, progress has been made, but the deeper promise, a Kenya where every citizen lives with dignity and shared prosperity, remains unfulfilled. For too long, stagnation has returned in cycles. Negativity has been normalized, and too many have been asked to make peace with mediocrity. That is why, before the last election, we had already realized that although we had achieved political independence and our constitution expanded our democratic human rights and the rule of law, we still had not fully consolidated our nation. These two milestones, great as they were, had over time been undermined by the paradox of the marginalization of the majority. We saw clearly a system in which a few rose to the top of the pyramid, while millions at the base struggled to survive. With education outcomes compromised, healthcare beyond reach, access to affordable credit denied, housing unattainable, and farmers abandoned, while our youth were locked out. That is the reason we introduced the bottom-up economic transformation agenda, to bring the marginalized majority back into the heart of our nation, to ensure that no one is left behind, and to begin the work of social engineering necessary to pursue the broader dream of economic freedom. We had to begin where marginalization and exclusion had been greatest, that is at the bottom. And so, over the last 3 years, we have made bold choices. They have delivered results that are unprecedented, unmistakable, and consequential. For years, we spoke of agriculture as the bedrock of our economy and farmers as our pillars. But the truth is, we did not truly know them, and neither did we truly prioritize them. Today we do. For the first time in our history, over 7.2 million farmers have been brought into the single national digital database. We now know who they are, where they are, what they grow, and what they need. And with that knowledge came the power, not for brokers, not for cartels, but for the farmer. This digital platform became and is the backbone of targeted support, including subsidized inputs, affordable credits, and modern extension services reaching real farmers directly. We lowered the cost of production. We brought the price of fertilizer down. And in so doing, we restored profitability to the smallholder farmer who produces over 70% of our food. Fellow citizens, the results are undeniable. Maize production is up. Prices of flour is down. The tea sector is rising. Coffee is rebounding. Dairy is expanding. And the sugar industry has been reformed. By strengthening value chains, cooperatives, irrigation, and processing, we have built systems that work for our agricultural sector. And now, with millions of farmers no longer forgotten, we are ready to walk with them to the next chapter of economic freedom. 3 years ago, education was in distress. Classrooms were overcrowded. Many universities were technically insolvent, and teachers were overwhelmed. Today, we have hired 76,000 teachers, and by next month, a total of 100,000 teachers, the largest recruitment of teachers in Kenya's history. We have built 23,000 new classrooms, and 1,600 laboratories are under construction across the nation. Importantly, through the student-centered funding model, we placed the learner at the heart of our reforms. For the first time in our history, scholarships and loans now follow need and merit, ensuring that every deserving student has a chance and a just and equal opportunity to pursue their dreams. Nearly 500,000 students have already benefited from this funding model. Students who, under previous systems, would have been excluded by policies that failed to recognize them. This reform has lifted the financial burden from families and enabled students to choose courses that align with their talents, with their aspirations, and with the needs of our nation. Our healthcare, we have another irrevocable decision that no Kenyan should be too poor to live. For decades, universal healthcare was spoken of, but in our time, it is being actualized. We engaged 110,000 community health promoters who are now reaching millions who were once excluded, forgotten, and without access to health care. CHPs have already visited over 9 million households, screening millions of Kenyans for various ailments, including diabetes and hypertension. At the same time, we built a unified health information system that now gives us full visibility of our health facilities, patients, their progress, enabling us to track healthcare delivery in real time. Today, over 28 million Kenyans are registered under the Social Health Authority, up from 8 million under the old system. That means 19 million Kenyans who were once forgotten are now in the healthcare equation. Among them are 2.3 million vulnerable Kenyans, orphans, widows, and the elderly, whose healthcare is now fully paid by the government of Kenya. Healthcare was never meant to be a privilege. It is a constitutional right. And with the realization of this right, we are ready to walk with all Kenyans into the next chapter of economic freedom. For the millions of Kenyans without employment, we moved beyond diagnosing the job crisis to deliberately creating opportunities through the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. For decades, housing, while being a constitutional right, was promised but never delivered. Housing is not just about shelter. It is collateral. It is graded worthiness. It is stability. And it is the first step out of poverty. In just 3 years, through our housing program, over 240,000 affordable homes, hostels for 180,000 students, 30,000 institutional housing for our military, police, and prison officers, and over 400 new markets for our traders are under construction across all our 47 counties. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the largest public infrastructure transformation ever undertaken, not just in Kenya, but also in our region. So far, standing at an investment of 650 billion. Through this program, more than 480,000 Kenyans have secured jobs and enterprise opportunities across 300 active sites, from artisans to technicians to engineers and architects, shaping a new skyline in Kenya. We have ring-fenced billions of shillings for the Juakali sector, fully integrating their long-neglected engine of craftsmanship into the national construction value chain. Today, Juakali artisans supply doors, windows, fittings, furniture, and fabricated material to projects in our affordable housing program across Kenya. In the digital and creative economy, we have trained 2 million Kenyans in digital skills, and nearly 300,000 are already earning income. Through the Kazi Maju program, nearly 500,000 Kenyans have secured well-paying job opportunities abroad in the last 3 years. We have also launched the Kenya shillings 20 billion Nyota program to support 820,000 young people with training, with mentorship, certification, and business capital. The first phase is complete, with 12,500 beneficiaries already receiving their first business support, and the national program is now being rolled out across the country. Together, these actions reflect one clear national purpose: to open doors of opportunity for our youth, equip them to succeed, and empower Kenya's greatest strength, our young people, to lead us towards prosperity and economic sovereignty. As more students live in decent accommodation, as more traders conduct their business in dignified settings, and as more public servants get access to housing, we are fulfilling our constitutional mandate. And with that foundation secured, we are ready to walk with all our people into the next chapter of economic freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, through the bottom-up economic transformation plan, we have consolidated the gains of political independence and the democratic freedoms won. Through deliberate social engineering, we have built systems that ensure no Kenyan is left behind. And having ensured that we are carrying everybody along, we now have both the opportunity and the firm foundation to charge forward into the next chapter of our national journey, Kenya's economic freedom. With the measures we have put in place to restore dignity, inclusion, and opportunity, we must now press on. It is time to step up from the bottom up, charging forward full steam to economic freedom and take Kenya to a first world economy. Before we accelerated this ambitious agenda, we took the difficult but necessary steps to stabilize our economy and restore fiscal discipline. Inflation has fallen from 9.6% in 2022 to 4.5% last month. The shilling has stabilized at about 129 shillings to the dollar for nearly 2 years. Our foreign exchange reserves now exceed $12 billion, the highest in independent Kenya. Our successful Eurobond redemption reaffirmed to the world that Kenya honors its obligations. Our economy has grown and is now the 6th largest economy in Africa. At the same time, we have made bold national decisions to save more of our income. Through the new NSSF contributions, the fund that had mobilized Kenya shillings 312 billion from independence to 2023 has now grown to 670 billion in just 2 years. We established the Financial Inclusion Fund as a strategic intervention to correct deep market failure, one that had denied millions of Kenyans access to affordable credit, one that had blacklisted in CRBs, disregarded by banks. They had been left trapped in frustration and despair. Today, Hustler Fund has become one of the most transformative instruments of empowerment in our nation's history, disbursing over 80 billion and expanding the margins of financial inclusion at an unprecedented scale. Over 9 million Kenyans are now repeat customers, and more than 7 million who were previously CRB blacklisted have successfully repaired their credit histories. It has restored dignity to millions. It has brought them back into the equation. They are no longer left behind. Ladies and gentlemen, these reforms have stabilized our economy, restored investor confidence, and enhanced Kenya's creditworthiness. As we set out on this path of economic independence, let us remember that we are not the first to stand at such a crossroads. Nations like South Korea, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Malaysia once stood where we stand today, with limited resources, modest means, but armed with immense courage, determination, and ambition. Prosperity was not handed to them. They reached out for it. They rejected the ordinary. They refused to be prisoners of their circumstances. They believed in themselves and invested in their people. They were patriotic to their nation's cause and demanded excellence of themselves. Today, they stand as first world economies, not by accident, but by deliberate design, by intentional choice, and by purposeful conviction. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya can, must, and will do the same and more. Let me repeat. Kenya can, must, and will do the same and more. 3 weeks ago, during the State of the Nation address, I laid before Kenyans this administration's bold and ambitious Kenya shillings 5 trillion roadmap to transform our nation into a first world economy and to secure our full economic freedom. That roadmap is anchored on 3 unshakable national priorities. First, history teaches us that no nation ever prospered on poor roads, inefficient ports, and congested airports. Modern transport and logistics drive productivity, reduce the cost of doing business, and creates trade, business, and innovation and investment hubs. Our 10-year roadmap on road, rail, ports, and airports, and oil pipeline infrastructure includes the expansion of strategic highways connecting our major cities, industrial zones, markets, border points, and agricultural belts to move people, goods, and services faster, safer, and more affordably. We have mapped out 2,500 kilometers of highway for dualing and 28,000 kilometers of road across the Republic for tarmacking. With this, we are stitching our country together, linking towns to cities, farms to factories, and Kenya to the wider region. Last week, fellow citizens, we moved from promise to action when we officially launched the construction of the Nairobi-Nakuru-Mau Summit Road and the Nairobi-Mai-Mahiu-Naivasha Road, an investment of over 180 billion in a modern 223-kilometer multi-lane dual carriageway delivered through a public-private partnership model. In February 2026, just in 3 months from now, we will begin extending the standard gauge railway from Naivasha to Kisumu and Malaba. And later in the year, extend the oil pipeline from Eldoret to Uganda, opening a new transport corridor with our neighbors and with the continent. At the same time, we will modernize Jomo Kenyatta International Airport and several other airports to enhance connectivity and ease the movement of people, goods, and services. The port of Mombasa and Lamu are also on course for modernization and commercialization, undertaken through innovative private-public partnerships that include long-term concessioneering. Charging forward, our infrastructure expansion will provide the foundational support for a strong and resilient economy that will drive transformative development for all of us. Number two, fellow citizens, we must decisively shift our economy from dependence on imports to becoming a net exporter of agricultural products, manufactured goods, and value-added commodities. Kenya today spends nearly 500 billion shillings every year importing agricultural products. While we have reduced imports of maize, sugar, edible oil, rice, our progress is still constrained by the limitations of rain-fed agriculture. We can no longer leave the country's food security to the uncertainties of rainfall, especially in the context of climate change. To feed our people and produce surplus for export, large-scale modern irrigation is the only viable pathway forward. We have mapped out 50 mega dams, 200 mini dams, and over 1,000 macro dams across all our 47 counties, especially in our arid and semi-arid areas, which have expansive, fertile, and arable land currently not under production because of lack of water. With this plan, an additional 2.5 million acres of land will be brought under agricultural productivity through extensive water harvesting, water storage, and advanced irrigation technologies. This is not only about food and water security. It is a nation-shaping investment. It will drive our transition into a net exporting economy. It will uplift rural communities and end the indignity and shame of food insecurity. And it will anchor sustainable development for generations ahead. Charging forward, investing in modern irrigation will supply adequate quantity, good quality, and reliable raw materials required to power agro-industrialization. Through our special economic zones, export processing zones, and county aggregation and industrial parks, and our strategic market infrastructure across Kenya, these raw agricultural materials will be transformed into high-value products for domestic, regional, and global markets. Third, fellow citizens, energy is the lifeblood of any modern economy. Although Kenya's installed capacity stands at 3,300 megawatts, the intermittency of solar and wind leaves us with a firm capacity of only 2,300 megawatts, which is far below the demands of the Kenya we are building. To power our domestic consumption, agro-processing, and value-addition industries, e-mobility, digital expansion, and a future driven by data centers, artificial intelligence, and modern technologies, we must scale up energy generation exponentially. Kenya possesses extensive and largely untapped renewable resources, including geothermal, solar, hydro, wind, and nuclear, ready for development and for generation. Charging forward to modernize our economy, accelerate our development, and compete globally, we must and will generate at least 10,000 megawatts of new energy over the next 7 years. Fellow citizens, to finance this 5 trillion national economic freedom project, relying solely on national budget would leave us waiting forever. Borrowing would only deepen our debt and burden future generations. Raising taxes would place unbearable strain on households, and choosing inaction would condemn our nation to stagnation. That is why we must act with courage, innovation, and foresight to design alternative financing mechanisms, leverage mature national assets, and tap into robust public-private partnerships to undertake this national development imperative. Fellow citizens, 3 weeks ago, I signed the Government-Owned Enterprises Bill into law. The new law revolutionizes the management and governance of state-owned enterprises, professionalizing boards through merit-based independent appointments and tying leadership to measurable results. This is a very consequential reform. It is the most far-reaching reform of government corporations since independence, aimed at turning legacy parastatals into commercially disciplined companies that will serve our public interest. The passage of this law ends the era of cronyism and patronage in our state-owned enterprises. This law explicitly disqualifies any person who has served in a public or political office within the last 5 years from appointment. On Monday, under this new legal framework, and to start this administration's bold and ambitious Kenya shillings 5 trillion roadmap to transform our nation, the Cabinet will meet to consider and approve the architecture of the National Infrastructure Fund as the engine that will align our financial resources with our development goals. Through innovative mobilization of domestic resources, strategic monetization of mature national assets, democratization of ownership through capital markets, and innovative deployment of national savings, we will unlock large-scale private sector capital to fund our national priorities while reducing reliance on borrowing and taxation. For decades, Kenya privatized major assets including Kenya Airways, KenGen, Kenya Re, and Safaricom. Yet the proceeds were absorbed into the budget, paying salaries and debts, leaving no enduring national assets behind. Through the National Infrastructure Fund, all privatization proceeds will be ring-fenced and invested strictly into public infrastructure development that generate and preserve more value. This principle is already being actualized. Proceeds from the current privatization processes will be channeled directly into the fund, setting a new national standard where national assets create lasting public value. Our goal is simple. For every shilling in the National Infrastructure Fund, we will attract 10 more shillings from long-term investors, including pension funds, sovereign partners, private equity funds, and development finance institutions, allowing us to develop without the constraints that come with debt and taxation. The National Infrastructure Fund will not just be a financing instrument, it will be a generational strategy to mobilize capital, accelerate delivery, preserve value, and secure Kenya's long-term competitiveness. To secure future generations, again on Monday, the Cabinet will consider and approve the Sovereign Wealth Fund policy, anchored on 3 pillars, including savings for future generations, stabilization against global shocks, and strategic national investments. Natural resource royalties, dividends from public investments, and a percentage of privatization proceeds will capitalize this fund. This fund will impose on us the obligation of intergenerational equity, bringing to life Article 201C of the Constitution, which demands that the burdens and benefits of the use of resources and public borrowing shall be shared equitably between the present and future without shortchanging future generations. With these 2 instruments, the National Infrastructure Fund and the Sovereign Wealth Fund, we shall begin the journey to the transformation that will lead us from the bottom up, charging forward full steam to economic freedom and taking Kenya to a first world economy. And I have said it is beginning next Monday. But fellow citizens, even the strongest financial systems, boldest infrastructure plans, and most ambitious economic strategies will fail if we do not secure the foundation of our national character. The realization of our economic freedom project will rest on 3 critical enablers: strategic human capital development, robust peace, stability, and security architecture, and unwavering integrity and fidelity to the national interest. To bolster human capital development, we have made bold investments in education, skills development, science, and innovation. We have raised the education budget from 490 billion in 2021 to 700 billion this financial year, and expanded science, technology, engineering, mathematics education. But to power our first world strategic human capital requirements, we must and will raise the National Research Fund from the current 0.8% to the requisite 2% of GDP. This is not, ladies and gentlemen, spending or social spending. It is nation building. The second enabler underpinning this national project is peace, stability, and security. For no nation can prosper in an atmosphere of disruption, violence, and criminality that leads to economic sabotage, destruction of property, and loss of lives. Stability is not an option. It is an enabler of everything we seek to build. Serious investors will not commit their investments in a country. Only serious investors will only commit their investments in a country that is peaceful, that is stable, and that is secure. For Kenya to attract sustained investment, for businesses to thrive, for jobs to expand, and for families to live without fear, we must secure our nation firmly, fairly, and without hesitation. Finally, the collective interests of all citizens, which form the national interest of Kenya, must be at the center of every action and engagement. Patriotism is putting the interests of the nation before tribe, clan, or self. Integrity in its highest form is patriotism in action. It is believing in our country. It is refusing to betray Kenya. And yet, let us speak honestly, our nation faces a serious integrity deficit. It begins early in our homes, in our schools, where seemingly harmless dishonesty later matures into grand corruption. Corruption is not merely theft of money, it is the theft of hope, opportunity, and destiny. This is compounded by negativity, division, erosion of shared values, and ethical and ethnic political mobilization. Hate and division, corruption and tribalism tear at the very social fabric of our republic. Ladies and gentlemen, our economic freedom project demands more than infrastructure and capital. It demands a renewal of our national conscience. We must build a strong value system. We must defend our national unity. We must raise our children in honesty, responsibility, and love for country. These three enablers, strategic human capital, peace, stability, and security, and national interest and integrity, are not optional ideals. They are the living foundation upon which our economic independence must stand. Without them, our ambition would remain promises. With them, our national priorities become achievable. Our investments become productive. And our vision of a prosperous, sovereign Kenya becomes not only possible, but inevitable. Fellow citizens, our founding fathers defeated colonial domination. The generation after broke the chains of dictatorship. The onus is on our generation, and particularly this administration, to achieve economic freedom. A freedom where effort is rewarded, where opportunity is shared, where dignity is guaranteed, where every citizen matters, and where no Kenyan is left behind. Let it be said of our generation that when Kenya stood at the edge of possibility, we chose courage over comfort, action over excuse, unity over division, and excellence over mediocrity. With resolute belief, today and every Jamhuri hereafter, we should find us true stewards of the freedom entrusted to us, that we shall honor our forefathers not only by remembering their sacrifice, but by fulfilling our duty and the assignment of our generation to secure for Kenya the full promise of economic freedom. It is time to step up from the bottom up, charging forward full steam to economic freedom and taking Kenya to a first world economy. Kabla sijamaliza, ndugu wa Kenya, mimi nataka niwaeleze hivi. Kwanza kwa watu wa Nairobi. Nairobi hoye! Nairobi hoye! Mimi, kuna mambo mengi tunafanya katika mji huu wa Nairobi. Kuna mambo tumekubaliana na county government ya Nairobi. Tunajenga zile barabara ambazo zilikuwa zimekwama hapa Nairobi. Tumekubaliana ya kwamba hizo barabara tumerudisha contractors wote ambao walikuwa pale barabarani. Na sasa barabara zinaendelea kilomita 60 hapa Nairobi. Kwa mfano barabara ya Muhuri kule Dagoretti South, barabara ya Mama Wahu kule Dagoretti South, bypass ya Mihango Link kule Embakasi East, Umoja 1 SDA Road kule Embakasi West, Tindigwa Road kule Roysambu na Road C Embakasi South. Pia mumeona pale Valley Road, ile barabara ilikuwa imekwama pale, tumeleta contractor anaendelea na kazi. Ile barabara ya Ngong Road pia inaendelea, kazi inaendelea pale. Barabara ya Haile Selassie vile vile inaendelea. Na ningependa kutangaza ya kwamba kwa sababu barabara ya expressway imekamilika na wananchi wanatumia pale juu, barabara ya chini iko na matatizo. Na ndio sababu kuanzia hii Disemba mukienda Krismasi, tutajenga upya barabara kutoka kule JKIA kupitia hapa mpaka kule ABC na tuifanyie beautification, ndio Nairobi ionekane kama city ya taifa letu la Kenya. Vile vile mimi ninajua ya kwamba kuna wananchi wengi wanaishi nje ya Nairobi lakini wanafanya kazi na biashara hapa Nairobi. Wananchi wengi wanaishi Kiserian, wanaishi Rongai, wanaishi Ngong, na kuna msongamano mkubwa sana wa wananchi wakikuja asubuhi na kurudi nyumbani jioni. Ningependa kutangaza ya kwamba mwaka ujao ile barabara kutoka Bomas of Kenya kwenda Rongai kwenda mpaka Kiserian na barabara kutoka Bomas of Kenya kwenda Karen kwenda pale Shade Hotel, kuteremuka kwenda Ngong, kwenda Bulbul na kwenda mpaka ifike kule Kiserian, tutaifanya iwe dual carriageway, ndio wananchi wa pale wanaweze kutembea kwa njia rahisi. Najua pia ya kwamba wananchi wengi wanaishi kule Thika, na sasa barabara ya Thika Road pia imejaa na kuna msongamano mkubwa sana wa magari katika barabara yetu ya Thika Road. Ningependa pia kutangaza ya kwamba mwaka ujao vile tuko na expressway kutoka JKIA, pia tutajenga expressway kutoka Thika mpaka ifike hapa Museum Hill, ndio wananchi wale wanateseka na mambo ya jam tuweze kuondoa jam ya sehemu hiyo. Pia ningependa kusema hii uwanja ya Nyayo Stadium, nyinyi mnajua yale maneno tulifanya kule Kasarani. Tuliweka paa ama uvuli ili wananchi wanapokuwa hapa wasipigwe na jua. Mimi nataka niwatangazie ya kwamba kuanzia Januari hii Nyayo Stadium vile vile tutaweka canopy. Hii ni mara ya mwisho wananchi kuwa hapa wakipigwa na jua. Tukisonga mbele, hii kiwanja pia itakuwa na kivuli. Vile vile tunakamilisha ile kiwanja ya Talanta pale Jamhuri. Munajua kazi kubwa ambayo imefanyika pale, kweli ama si kweli? Na nimesikia yale gavana wa Nairobi amesema ya kwamba ile uwanja wa Talanta ipatiwe jina gani? Ati mumesema ipatiwe jina gani? Mumesema ipatiwe jina la Raila Amolo Odinga International Stadium. Nimewasikiza na tukikamilisha tutafanya hivyo. Mimi nataka niwashukuru wasanii ambao wametuimbia hapa. Asanteni sana kwa kazi yenu. Kolabo ya Iani, Femi One na Trio Mio wametuambia tunaweza. Tunaweza hatuwezi? Tunaweza hatuwezi? Tunaweza sio? Guardian Angel pia ametueleza kwamba wananchi wote na viongozi wote tuungane pamoja tujenge taifa letu la Kenya. Inawezekana haiwezekani? Mimi nataka niwapongeze askari wetu ambao walikwenda kule Haiti na mumewaona hapa, tuwapigie makofi jameni. Wamerudi nyumbani na heshima kubwa sana kwa taifa letu la Kenya. And I want to thank them profoundly for their courage, professionalism, and selfless love service to our nation and to the world, and for flying our flag high with honor and dignity. Mimi nachukua nafasi hii kuwatakia Krismasi njema yenye baraka na mwaka mpya wa 2026 wenye mafanikio makubwa sana. Asanteni na watakia heri. Mungu awabariki. Thank you very much.
Daktari William Ruto, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Kenya, pamoja na mama taifa, ni zamu yao kuondoka sasa. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to announce, it is my pleasure now to bid farewell to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces and Her Excellency the First Lady. Mheshimiwa Rais, kwa hiari yako naomba uweze kuondoka. Na shukran kwa kushiriki siku ya leo pamoja nasi. Makala ya 62 tuwasema hongera kwa kazi unayozidi kufanya. Mheshimiwa Rais pamoja na mama taifa wanaondoka sasa. Yamekuwa ni makala ya 62, sherehe ya Jamhuri, kauli mbiu, utalii, wanyamapori na biashara. Akisindikishwa na mkuu wa majeshi ya ulinzi Jenerali Kahariri Charles, anamsindikisha Mheshimiwa Rais kuweza kuondoka. Shukran sana CDF saa kwa kazi nzuri na gwaride la leo. Anaondoka Mheshimiwa Rais Daktari William Ruto pamoja na mama taifa. Nitangaze hivi sasa kwa heshima kuu atakuwa akiondoka mgeni wetu rasmi siku ya leo, Mheshimiwa John Dramani Mahama, Rais wa Jamhuri ya Ghana. It is on my singular duty and honor to take precedence and acknowledge the departure of His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. His Excellency Honorable John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana, taking his leave. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for according us that respect, being with us today as we celebrate our 62nd Jamhuri Day. Thank you, sir, as you take your leave. His Excellency Honorable John Dramani Mahama.
Please subscribe to Morris TVG.